Every leader everywhere wants quality on their team and in their organization. The problem is that there is no objective measure for quality for anything in any industry. Quality to you and quality to someone else could mean totally different things. And that's why great leaders understand that quality is meeting stated expectations. Welcome to the Ware Show, a podcast for leaders who want more and won't settle for less. Straight talk to help you lead better, live bolder, and not lose yourself in the process. If you're serious about going to the next level in life and leadership, you're in the right place. Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Ware Show, where we are passionate about going to the next level in life and leadership, passionate about growing personally and professionally, passionate about getting better in all the ways, all the time. And I don't know if you didn't catch it, I just used the word passionate 3 times. And that's because I really am passionate about this stuff. I've spent 30 years as a student and practitioner of leadership. And now I get to coach and develop other leaders, which I absolutely love doing. And this is just it's what I do. I mean, I eat and sleep and breathe this stuff. So that's what I talk about on this show. And when I mentioned that I'm passionate about it, I actually discovered not long ago, and I say discovered like it was some like new aha moment kind of thing, but I knew it. This just confirmed it. But I went through an exercise with the John Maxwell leadership team to define my top 5 values, and believe it or not, passion was one of them. So when I say that I'm passionate about this, I mean it. And now I have an assessment, result to prove it. So yeah, this is legit, right? Like this comes from just deep inside of me. Today we're going to talk about something that I've seen really throughout my entire leadership journey. And I see it now maybe in a little different way with some of my clients. And that is that so many leaders really are frustrated with their organizations, frustrated with their teams, because they don't see the quality that they really want to see. They don't feel like their organization is putting out a product or a service at the level of quality that they envision it to be. Or many times they feel like their team is not producing the level of quality work that they really want to see happening. And so sometimes I have these conversations with leaders, with business owners, with entrepreneurs, and they're complaining about it, right? Like they go on and on about a specific person on their team, maybe who isn't pulling their weight, a department or a division that's not producing results, a project that's kind of been languishing or whatever. And in my experience, and they don't like this, and you probably won't like it either, but in my experience, it's a leader problem, not a follower problem. If you're the leader, you are the problem in your organization. The issue that you're dealing with is either the result of something that you decided or the result of something that you've tolerated, which means that either way, it's your problem to fix because you are the leader. Leaders, listen, stop being a victim. You cannot be a leader and be a victim. You're not a victim to your team. They work for you. You're not a victim to your vendors because they need your money. You're not a victim to the economy. People make money in up markets and in down markets. You are not a victim. So stop whining, stop complaining, stop blaming, stop being a victim, and start being a leader. All right. I feel better now. Got that off my chest. So what we have to understand about this whole idea of quality, because this is what leaders complain about, this is what they're frustrated about, that they don't have the quality that they want to see in their organization or their teams. But I think many times they don't actually understand it. What we have to understand about quality is that there is no objective standard for quality for anything in any industry. We use this word quality as if it has this sort of, standalone textbook definition that's objective and it applies to everyone, everywhere, and everybody just kind of magically, understands it and agrees with it and gets it. But that is not the case. What's quality to you and what's quality to me are different. What's quality to your team may not be quality to someone else's team. What you think is good, other people may not see the same way. So quality based on what? Think of cars, for example. You can say that the nicest or the most expensive car is the highest quality, but that's not necessarily true because it depends on the metrics that you are using to define quality. A G-Wagon is quality for some people because they've got enough money to buy something that's not just a vehicle, but it's a status symbol. But for someone else, the base model of a Kia or Hyundai or whatever is quality because that represents reliable transportation that their family can afford. Okay, those are different definitions of quality. And the reason why is because it is subjective. Philip Crosby, legendary in the business space for being an expert on quality control, said it this way. So simple, so straightforward. He just said this. He said, quality is meeting expectations. Quality is meeting expectations. So really, quality kind of comes down to, what do you expect? And as leaders, we have to understand and embrace this idea that there's no objective standard for quality for anything. Quality is only defined by the local definition you give it, by your stated expectations, which means there's no such thing as an objectively quality anything in your organization or on your team. There's no such thing as an objectively quality engineer or programmer or doctor or youth pastor or English teacher or football coach or customer service rep or pharmaceutical salesman, right? This all depends on the expectations that are put on that person in their particular situation or context. Okay, so here's the big idea for us today as leaders, the one key, thing that you've got to take away that I want just kind of embedded in your brain, in your heart, in your mind, and that is this, that quality is meeting stated expectations. Quality is meeting stated expectations. If you are the leader, it's your responsibility to know what your expectations are and to communicate them. Most leaders who are unhappy with the quality of their team or the quality of their organization have not done the hard work to formulate their expectations or to articulate those expectations. Quality will never magically appear on its own. Quality is meeting stated expectations. And I'm shocked. And honestly, at this stage of life, there's not a lot of things that shock me anymore, but I really still am shocked at how many leaders don't even have basic job descriptions in writing for their team members. Okay, I'm talking about at for-profit and nonprofit organizations, at startups and at established companies, businesses that are doing 1, 2, 5 million plus in revenue. They've got 10 or 20 or 50 team members. And they've never taken the time to think deeply and communicate clearly what they expect from the people who work with them. And then they wonder why they are inevitably frustrated. Okay, because no matter how good of a leader you are, and no matter how good of a team member they are, without stated expectations, you will at some point, I promise, you will have some discrepancy on quality because it's not objective. And look, I don't care about formal job descriptions, one way or the other. I actually coach my clients on a totally different way to do that. That's simpler, easier, cuts through all the corporate HR nonsense and garbage that's out there. In fact, I may do a workshop on that soon, actually. But the point is this, that you as the leader have to have stated expectations. Leaders can be really smart and really stupid at the same time. You're smart enough to start your company, to run your organization, but you're stupid enough to think that people can read your mind. Listen, you have no right to be frustrated with how your team executes if your team doesn't even know what you expect. If you don't communicate your expectations, you are not being a leader, you are being lazy. If you haven't taken the time to figure out what you want from your team and then communicate it in a way they understand, guess what? That's not their fault, that's your fault. And I hear this from leaders all the time. Well, my team this, my team that. Look, stop blaming your team. Craig Rochelle talks about this on his leadership podcast all the time. By the way, if you don't listen to or follow Craig Rochelle, you need to. But he has a rule in his organization that leaders are not allowed to say, our people won't. They can only say, I have not led our people to. It's not that our people won't do something. It's that I haven't led them to do something, right? It's not their fault. It's my fault. It's not the team's fault. It's the leader's fault. And you say, well, they should just know. Well, they don't know. Well, they've been around long enough to what? To read your mind? Well, I hired them because they have the experience. Well, sure, maybe they did, but how they did it at the last company may not be the same way you want it done at this company. I shouldn't have to tell them how to do their job. No, that's exactly what you should have to do because you are the leader. Listen, you don't have quality because you have not stated your expectations. And if you are the leader, that is your job. The responsibility to determine quality is on the leader. Don't feel bad for stating your expectations. Feel bad if you don't. Too many leaders don't do this. They won't state their expectation, and then they wonder why they never have the quality that they want to have. The issue of expectation is on the leader. The issue of execution is on the team. But how can you have quality if you've never defined it? Every person on your team at every level needs to know what your expectations are of them. And it needs to be explicit, not implicit. It needs to be expressed, not implied. It has to be in writing, not in your head. How can they meet an expectation if they don't even know what it is? There's no substitute for this. There's no amount of leadership leverage. There's no amount of management magic that's going to make up for this. The key to leading for quality in your organization is you have to have stated expectations. Okay, how do you do this? How do you state your expectations for your team in a way that's really clear so that they can understand it? I'm going to give you 3 key areas to do this in. And let me just set this up, okay? This is not rocket science. Nothing I'm about to tell you is some like deep insight that you've never thought of or never heard of before. But these are areas you have to address. You have to lay out. You have to communicate with your team in terms of your expectations. Because a ton of frustration comes from not having these things be super clear in your organization. 3 areas of expectation. Number 1, what you want. Your team needs to know what you want. What do you actually want done? Many leaders assume that a team member knows what they need to do simply because of their role or their title, but that's a huge mistake. The responsibility is on the leader to define clearly, specifically, in great detail, exactly what that team member should be doing, what you want to see done, what you want accomplished and achieved. They have to know what you expect. Remember, quality is meeting stated expectations. So if you want quality work from your team, you've got to state your expectations of what it is you want them to be doing. And you can't assume that just because they have a title like general manager or salesman or whatever, that they actually know what you want them to do. What does manage mean to you in your company, in this role, in this season of time? Because if you're just telling them, well, go manage, quality management to them and quality management to you may look like totally different things because it's not objective. So define it in detail, in more detail than you feel like you should have to, in more detail than you want to. Okay, think through every nuance. Think about every deliverable. Think about every key result. And you say, well, I don't have time to do that. That's what I hired them for. Okay. Well, if that's your attitude, I can predict your future. And it's going to be one of frustration and resentment and confusion and all of that. Okay. Be the leader. Do the hard work of defining what it is you want that person to do. Okay. 3 key areas you have to state your expectations. Number 1 is what you want done. Number 2 is when you want it done. When you want it done. If you don't set a deadline, you can't complain about when your team did it. It's up to you as the leader to determine when you want something done and to communicate that clearly to the people you work with. If you don't have a due date, you won't have a deliverable. And if you don't decide when, you make it really hard for your team to have a win. Okay, I told you this was simple, right? But I see this all the time. Leaders who are frustrated because they're waiting on their team for a deliverable, for a report or a project or whatever it is, but they never told them when they wanted it by. Like they were supposed to just somehow know and read their mind, and the timelines and the calendars and the schedules would just sync up by osmosis. Look, it ain't that hard. I need this report by the end of the day on Friday. I expect monthly financials by the 10th of the month. I need all the payments to go out by Tuesday at noon, right? This is not hard. It's not hard to say that. It's not hard to communicate that. And I promise you, you will have way less frustration, way less stress, way less, conflict on your team if you can clearly state the timeline and your expectation about when something needs to be done. Okay, you've got to make clear what your expectations are about what you want, about when you want it done, and number 3, about how you want it done. How you want it done. This might be the area that I see leaders struggle the most, that they don't take time to train their people on how they want something done, and they don't think they need to. They think, well, this person's smart. They're experienced, they're educated, they've been around for a while, they've been in the industry for a while. That's why I hired them. So I don't need to teach them how to do this. A huge mistake I see leaders make is buying into the philosophy that they can just hire smart people and get out of their way. That sounds really nice, but in actuality, it's really, really stupid. You as the leader have to train your people on how you want things done in your organization. It doesn't matter how smart they are, how experienced they are, how educated they are. Your people have to reflect your vision, your values, your strategy, and it's your responsibility to teach your team how you want things done. Just because somebody knows how to do the technical aspects of a job doesn't mean they know how to do it your way. Doesn't mean they know how to do it in a way that reflects who you are, what you value, what matters to you and your organization. Now, what and when are pretty straightforward, and I'll admit that how is a little bit more nuanced because it does vary with the person, with the position, with the project, and even the season of time that you're in, as an organization. Some people in some situations will require more detail, more specifics, and other ones less. And so you got to use some leadership acumen here. This is an art and science. But in my experience, more people in more situations need more coaching on how you want it done than you think. Okay, so my pro tip is that it's better to err on the side of telling them than not. Better to give them more detail than less. Okay, so if you're a leader and you're watching or listening and you've got frustrations around the quality of what you're seeing on the team, I just want you to ask yourself, have I clearly stated my expectations about what I want done, when I want it done, and how I want it done? My guess is you probably have a gap. There's probably a gap in there somewhere. And if you'll begin to close that gap, if you'll get better at communicating what it is you want done, when it is you want it done, how you want it done, you're going to get way better quality from your team. And by the way, these three things actually work really well in reverse too. It's a great way to frame conversations when you're giving feedback, when you're kind of diagnosing something that happened, when maybe things didn't go as well as you wanted them to. And the conversation looks like this. Hey, this didn't go the way I expected. And there are a few reasons why that might be the case. Let's figure out which one it was so that this doesn't happen again. Did you not know what I wanted you to do? Did you not know when it needed to be done? Did you not understand how I wanted you to go about getting it done? Man, you approach conversations like that, it changes things, right? Because now you're not blaming the team member, you're problem solving with them. You're inviting them into a collaborative conversation. And, if you're really listening to what they have to say, you might find that you did not clearly state your expectations as well as you thought you did. And that's why you're disappointed with the quality of the result. Listen, there is no objective measurement for quality for anything in any industry. There just isn't. Quality is defined by the local application definition that you put on it in your context. Quality is meeting stated expectations. And it's your job as the leader to do the hard work of figuring out what you expect, when you expect it, and how you expect it, and then communicating that clearly and unequivocally to your team. And I know that may sound like a lot of work. Welcome to leadership. I promise you this is work that is worth doing because when you get better at clearly stating your expectations, your team is going to get better on executing them. And what that means is that quality is going to go up, revenue is going to go up, morale is going to go up. Everybody wins when we clearly communicate our expectations as leaders, and everybody loses when we don't. Quality is meeting stated expectations. If this helped you think about something differently, helped shine some light maybe on something you're experiencing in your organization, would you do me a favor? Would you rate or review the podcast on whatever platform you're on? That just helps us, reach more people and kind of get bumped in the algorithm and all of that. And would you share it with somebody else who could benefit from it? Because my guess is other people who are frustrated in their leadership, and maybe this is an aspect of why they're experiencing that. The best leaders are people who are constantly helping other leaders get better. So help somebody else and send it to them. If I can serve you or your organization, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find me at themattware.com and at themattware on all the social channels. Until next time, go lead better and live bolder.